Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you to eGain for inviting me to talk to you today. Found it very interesting this morning so far. And maybe the flip side of that is I've been trying to mentally edit what I was going to talk to you about as I've been hearing from the guys already. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what Bupa Global does, how that business has evolved over the years, because I think that sets the context for how we use eGain and our DX challenges. And I'm going to tell you how we use eGain as part of what I now understand is our customer experience hub. So, I think you're probably predominantly a UK audience. You've probably heard of Bupa. You may know that we were established in 1947 and we don't have shareholders, which means that we invest any surplus that we make back into delivering on our purpose. We're a very strongly purpose-led organisation. All the 85,000 people that work for Bupa can connect what they do every day very clearly to our purpose, which is to help people live longer, healthier, happier lives. And that applies equally to people in the back office, like myself in IT, to our frontline care staff. And it's a very powerful, motivating factor for us all to come to work every day, knowing that we're doing something like that. What you may not know so much about is where Bupa Global fits into that picture. So let me just explain a little bit about our markets. So you may know United Kingdom, where it all started in 1947, Bupa Health Insurance and Care Services and Dental Care. Got a similar domestic business in Australia and New Zealand after some acquisitions a few years ago, and that's been a driving force for a lot of our financial performance over the last few years. Similarly, in Europe and Latin America, we have big domestic businesses in Spain and in, more recently, Chile and Poland. International markets, where Bupa Global sits, is more of our kind of driving force for emerging businesses. So we've got some smaller domestic businesses, joint venture in India, Bupa Arabia, Hong Kong. We just made an acquisition in Turkey and Brazil recently. And then Bupa Global, which I like to describe as the jewel in the crown of the Bupa Group, is where we come in. I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about how the Bupa Global business has evolved, because I think it kind of, we're talking about the BX really here of this nomenclature. It sets the business challenges that constrain the way that we can deliver some of the great agent and customer experience that we'd all aspire to do. So in 1982, the tax law changed in the UK and we were allowed to start selling, well, I say we, it was before my time, Bupa was allowed to start selling medical insurance to non-UK nationals, and they found that people were ringing up and asking for a product that didn't really exist, which was medical insurance for cover around the world for various different reasons, because they were expatriates or they worked for a company that employed people around the world. They were retirees in different countries. And so we kind of invented a market segment of international private medical insurance. And throughout the 1990s, we were very much the market leader in that segment. We're serving 170 countries, paying claims in 84 currencies. And we had our headquarters in Brighton, which is my hometown. Over the next few years, we had a lot of business in the UAE and Dubai. We worked with an outsourcing partner in India to help process our claims, and we opened an office in Egypt. In 2005, some quite large acquisitions by our standards. We bought IHI in Denmark and Amadex in Miami. So we then had a Scandinavian book and a Latin American book to go with our original customers, and that gave us quite broad global coverage. Over that time, I guess that IPMI market that had grown up, the regulators had cottoned on to what was happening here, and they started to regulate in each country much more stringently how that market could operate. So whereas we originally could pretty much sell anywhere, we increasingly have to work with local partners where we're not licensed in different countries. And so we work with, for instance, OIC in Dubai and some sister companies like Bupa Egypt and Bupa Hong Kong, and some third parties. We pursued a regionalization strategy, and we opened an office in Hong Kong in 2015. We rebranded as Bupa Global from Bupa International, and we bought a stake in Highway to Health in Philadelphia, which gave us access to the Blue Cross Blue Shield network in the US, which is a huge, one of the mega insurers and like a mega bank. And combined with their network of US hospitals and doctors, and our international network, I think that gives our customers access to the largest healthcare provision network that anybody has. And most recently, the regionalisation strategy also had our Hong Kong office. We've got our sister company down here in Bupa, Australia. I've missed off a couple here. We've got an office in the Netherlands and an office in Switzerland. And most recently, we've opened an office in Dublin to provide continued access to the European Economic Area. So that's how we've grown up over the years. And I guess the reason for spending a bit of time on that is to kind of, if you think that we've got about 200,000 members, we're roughly about £1 billion revenue, that's not by any means a mega insurer in the context of what we were hearing about before. So we are quite thinly spread across that geographical area. And if you look at some of the business challenges that translates into, it's worth just understanding how these constrain our ability, as I was saying, to deliver some of those experiences. We are a heavily regulated industry. Insurance, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the room who are in the insurance industry. As much as the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK, sets us new and interesting challenges all the time about how to operate, we have probably a dozen different regulators that we are working in different jurisdictions. So there's always somebody somewhere changing what we have to do, and customer communication is absolutely a key area that the regulators are very rightly interested in. How we communicate with our customers, how we make sure that they're getting a good experience and that they are not facing barriers to getting a good customer outcome. So we've always got a lot on our agenda from that regulatory landscape. We have, as I say, quite a thinly spread, very diverse, multilingual customer base. We sell, broadly speaking, to three categories of people. We sell to high net worth individuals. We have small and medium enterprise groups, sort of 10 to 100 employees, and large corporate clients. And they all give us different things. Corporate clients give us scale to get good deals with hospitals. Individual members have a different profile, and the SME groups, again, different. About 70% of our business is broked and 30% direct. So it's quite difficult to standardize what we offer because we have very different needs from each of those different segments. And our customers want different things in the way that they interact with us. I was very taken by Brian's graph earlier on where you had I think there was a graph about willingness to adopt AI, and you had customer services up the top, everyone wants AI, and I think doctors were down the bottom. And if you think, we probably play the part of the doctor in our interaction with a lot of our customers, because if they're in a country that's not their home country, if they're interacting with people who don't speak their language, we often play the part of their proxy in that incredibly stressful and potentially, the most difficult situation they've ever been in. We are effectively their trusted partner in that process. Equally, we get a lot of interaction which is completely standard customer services. So trying to span that spectrum from, transactional, simple stuff to the most complicated and, impactful communication that a customer is ever going to have is quite a challenge for us. We have customers in some parts of the world where having a plastic card is a prestige thing, and they want a plastic card from Bupa. Other people who expect everything online, as you would sort of naturally expect with our kind of emerging millennial customer base. We've got, as I said before, regional servicing locations, so trying to keep track of what's going on where. We have groups who, although their members are in Hong Kong, you might expect them to be serviced out of that location. The group's headquarters is in Europe, so they want everything serviced out of there, and every combination that you can imagine of that. And we have all those different insurance partners that we work with. We work with them in a slightly different way in every jurisdiction because of either that's what the regulator requires or that's the deal we've done with that partner. So for our agent experience, trying to keep track of how they service a particular query from a particular member in a particular country who needs some kind of treatment or some kind of query answered, and it's different depending on which partner they're insured by. It's a very challenging environment for our agents. Coupled with that, we've got, because of the acquisitions that I talked about before, we've got two different technical ecosystems, and I guess, linked to the top one, but the particular regulations that we contend with, we've had an extreme focus on information security recently, quite rightly so. We've had an ongoing journey with our compliance with payment card industry regulations and, of course, GDPR, which I'm sure everyone here is well familiar with. So that's the context. I want to talk about how we've used eGain to improve our email management capability to address some of those challenges. So back in 2011, we recognized that what we were doing with email just wasn't fit for purpose. We had people counting emails in inboxes, literally drawing 5-bar gates. We had no idea of turnaround time. We had languages, emails coming in all different languages. We couldn't tell whether people were cherry-picking the easy emails. We had very little control. And people send us emails with credit card details in because that's what they do. And as I said, PCI compliance in that environment is quite tricky. So we identified the need for an email management capability, talked to our friends at Gartner, did an RFP, and we selected eGain for that project. We started quite small, just sort of 3 teams, 20 mailboxes. If you think the map picture I showed before, the number of different mailboxes where people, for whatever historical reason, send us emails, and then the number of different emails they send to the same address, and working out why they've sent that email to that address and where it needs to go. For an organization of our size, it's a very complex challenge. We started small. Second phase, doubled that, and then we went into what I've termed BAU here. I could have called this Bob. This was like a rather longer period of BAU than we really should have left ourselves with, and be the first to admit that was too long to stay on version 10. And the reason for that is purely the volume of other things that we've had to do in that time period. But recently we have, and I must admit when I was invited to speak here, I was very, very pleased to be invited, but I did also notice the date of the event, and I was slightly nervous seeing how closely it aligned with our go-live date for our version 17 rollout, but I'm happy to say it's all worked out very well, and we are now live with version 17. We've got users in Brighton, Hong Kong, Egypt, using version 17, and we're getting some very good feedback. One of the good things about leaving it so long is the nice new user interface is a real step change for them, and very pleased to be, as an IT director whose job is to keep things running, I'm delighted to hand over the responsibility of keeping the eGain servers up and running to the people who know them best. Very much aligned with our strategy of cloud adoption. So where we are now is, as you can see, significantly higher volumes than we started off with. We process about 10,000 inbound and outbound emails a day, and they are servicing, as I said, about 200,000 members. I think this version 17 gives us a platform really to expand what we do with email. Probably if we leverage it to its fullest extent, we could probably double where we are now. And that's been a very good story for us. If I draw out the main reasons why eGain and email management capability in general has helped us, I guess the main one really, talking about that regulated environment, is we have got confidence in what we're doing with these customers. We can see that all our system and user touch points are tracked. We know that nobody's deleted anything. So when it comes to convincing the regulator that our members are getting the experience they should get, we've got a very solid foundation for that. Equally, we have much better confidence in understanding how our business is operating. So we know how many emails we're getting, where they're going. We've done some quite sophisticated things for us with real-time planning to understand where our workforce needs to be deployed at any time based on what volume of interaction we're getting into different channels and different mailboxes. And we, as well as the analytics that we get out of the box with eGain, we do actually take the information out of the eGain database and merge it with data sources from other systems, including our back-end system, our telephony system, workforce planning, and we get some pretty rich MI from that, understanding what our customers are doing and how they're what kind of experience they're getting. I guess on the AX side, the search console's been a big step forward for our agents. Trying to find emails before in that multiplicity of mailboxes was no small challenge, and trying to find what's happened to the piece of work that you're being contacted about now. The search console is a real step forward from that point of view. And we've had some success, probably more to do here, but classification within eGain to allow us to understand our contact by business process area. So if I look back to, if I think of the business we've got today, I know we could not run that business that we are operating today without the email management capability. We take it for granted now. It's grown with us over the years, but it's an absolute bedrock of what we do. But it fits into a wider context, which I now wish I'd called this slide our customer engagement hub. But if you look at where it fits in, right? So we've got probably a longer journey with eGain and email management than some of these other channels. We've had websites since a long time before I joined, but they've always been quite transactional. We've invested quite heavily recently in our new member portal. So the things that you can do transactionally online, obviously we want to make those as convenient as possible. We want to encourage people to do the easy stuff, self-serve, so that the stuff when they need to contact us, it is for the value add that our advisors can really help them with. Web chat, although it's quite low volume for us, it gets by far the highest NPS. People love that method of interaction. We've spent quite a lot of time and effort redesigning our customer documents, because whether people get them printed out and sent to them in the post, or whether they get them as a PDF on the website, it is absolutely key that we are as clear as possible about whether it's your claim statement, your invoice, your membership certificate, what that information, how we present that to the customer, obviously reduces the need for them to contact us in other channels because they didn't understand. We're consolidating our telephony channels. We've got a number of different historical telephony systems around the world, and we've invested in a new cloud-based telephony platform which is rolling out in parallel with some of this other stuff. And we talked about knowledge earlier on. Ashley was mentioning knowledge. Our agents do an amazing job. I'm often, nature of my role, I'm often walking around the floor when something's not working quite right and sort of seeing how people are getting on. And the number of different scenarios they have to contend with, the number of different systems they have to hop between in order to do that job. We do support them with a knowledge management system that explains how to deal with different scenarios, different insurers, different types of customer. But still, the resilience and the dedication that our agents show is magnificent. I would love to be able to improve the agent experience. I think that is as long as I've been at Bupa, the concept of a contact strategy has been kind of the holy grail, not just within IT, but within the operational side of the business. Being able to join those different channels up, and the kind of seamless and kind of instant understanding of what's happened before that we were kind of hearing about this morning. It very much is, you can see the use case for it. The difficulty is having an overarching strategy that gets you to that point. And I think the real world kind of constraints are not to be underestimated. I know this is an extremely elongated journey that you're seeing here, but standing from where I'm standing, it's difficult to see how we could have really moved much more quickly because of the huge amount of, never mind what we're doing with customer contact, the huge amount of other things we need to do in our portfolio. So if there are tools out there, and I'm delighted to hear all the great stuff we heard this morning, that can help solve that problem, we are extremely keen to talk to, and we're talking to eGain at the moment about how potentially to converge some of these things. I think I on balance agree with Brian that says there's no one vendor out there that's going to do this whole job for us, but we certainly would like fewer vendors than we currently have. So maybe if Ashu invites me back in a couple of years' time, I can show you a picture with slightly fewer different colors on it, and we can see if we've managed to converge onto something a bit more unified. I'm conscious of time. I know I think I started a little bit late, and I've rushed through that a little bit. But I am happy to talk to anyone in the lobby after. It's probably an easier way to delve into a bit more detail about how some of these things have manifested themselves in Bupa. But that's what I was going to talk to you about today. Thank you.